I'm so happy you're joining in with me tonight for Calming the Chaos. I tell you, I am so happy to see you, and I'm just going to click go live here on Insta, and I think we are ready to go. Here we go. All right. Hello, good people. We made it. We made it to Wednesday. We made it to Wednesday, February 5th. So, first and foremost, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your Wednesday evening with me. Just getting adjusted here. Just getting in, getting adjusted. Thanks. So, thank you so much for sharing your Wednesday evening with me. I know that these are really, really busy times. These are odd times we're living in. And I just want to thank you so much for taking some time to, out of your evening to join me for something that I think is really so important, calming the chaos. I want to offer some tips to you because if you're anything like me and you're sensitive to the news, to the energies around you, to what's happening in the world, if you care about what's happening in the world and you can feel this sense of overwhelm, you're trying to stay tuned in and then you're trying to tune out when you need to and practice some self care and you're having trouble finding balance with that. Um, I just want to say that you are experiencing probably what 99% of all of us are feeling. So that's really the intention behind tonight's like impromptu. I just had this thought like, let me get on and talk about some tips that I've been sharing with my clinical patients in my clinical practice as well as my coaching practice, and some tips I've been sharing with friends, with family, and just reminding myself of first. So, first and foremost, I just want to set the intention that tonight is just all about offering you some of the tips, tools, and strategies that I personally am employing um, to just manage all of the energy that's being kicked up in these times. We're living in very chaotic times right now all around the world. I'm here in the US. Of course, most people know what's happening here in the US with political arena and different shakeups and lots of different things happening over here. But what happens on one side of the earth ripple has a ripple effect to the other side of the earth, right? So I think I know enough to know now that there's a ripple effect to every action. For every action, there's a reaction. So I just want to hold this space tonight for you, for wherever you are in the world. If you're feeling this sense of inner unrest, sense of chaos, having difficulty finding the balance, I want to give you some strategies that I've been working with. Second thing, second little bit of housekeeping. If you're new to my channel, I'm Angel Shannon, founder and executive director of Siva Health and the Siva Institute, where we put mindfulness and compassion in action to help you live longer and live better. That's not just a slogan. That's not just a tagline. That's not just some fancy branding. I really do believe that mindfulness and self compassion put in action is the recipe for changing our lives. It really is. When we are mindful, when we're paying attention, and when we're putting that mindfulness in action, and when we're informing that mindfulness from a place of self compassion, we're able to make different decisions. We're able to do things differently. We're able to make wise choices. And that's what tonight's live is all about. It's the choices that we can make to settle down this inner chaos, this inner unrest that we have. Okay, so that's number two. I want to formally introduce you to who I am, what I'm about, what I believe, and thirdly, offer you the invitation to join me in the community I am building in my newsletter community uh, to help you stay informed. There's a lot of information coming at you from a million different places, but the community that I'm building around lifestyle medicine around mindfulness and compassion is very intentional. And that community starts with my newsletter, Healthy House Calls with Angel. That newsletter comes out twice a week. First issue is on Monday, Mindset Mastery, Monday Mindset Mastery. That comes out every Monday, just about. Yeah, every Monday. And the second issue comes out on Wednesday. That's my Healthy House Call with you. The reason it's named Healthy House Call with Angel is because that's where my practice started. It started with me doing house calls, going door to my patients and seeing them in their homes, because I believe that what we do at home really matters to our health and well-being. Health is so much more than the doctor office visit where you go for 15 minutes and you hurry up and say all the things that are on your mind, and then someone gives you a prescription for a pill and says, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. It's so much more than that. And I believe that good health starts at home. I firmly believe that good health starts at home. Everything you eat, your sleeping habits, your lifestyle, all those things. Good health starts at home. So, from that premise, that's how I started my practice, healthy house calls practice, and then it grew into my clinical practice where I, maintain an office and things like this. So that's where the name Healthy House Calls with Angel comes from, because at the beginning, that's what I did when I first started my practice. So I'm extending that invitation to you to stay connected with me after this session tonight. Join me in community with thousands of other people who received that newsletter, and also listen to my podcast, Healthy House Calls with Angel. Join our growing community of listeners, of subscribers who are really looking to live longer and live better with lifestyle medicine. Okay, so I'm going to drop the link to that. You can find me at Healthy House Calls with Angel.com, the newsletter, and Healthy House Calls with Angel, the podcast. It is streamed on Apple iTunes, Apple Music, something or other, Spotify, on my website. You can find it wherever you pick up your usual podcasts. Okay, so Healthy House Calls with Angel. I'm going to drop that link after tonight's sort of session. So that you can get dialed in and get in community with people just like yourself who want to bring mindfulness and compassion together in action to live longer and live better. Okay? Change your life, not just your symptoms. Next order business. They always say put your own life jacket on, your own oxygen on first. So I have my cup of tea. If you don't have your cup of tea, go get your cup of tea and come back. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. If you notice, this says, be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. This is my favorite mug when I'm having a good cup of tea. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea because I want to put my own oxygen on first. I want to take a deep breath, and I invite you to do the same. You probably had a busy day. So take a deep breath. If you don't have your tea handy, just go click on that little tea pot, get the hot water going, go get your favorite, tea bag, and let's relax and let's get into it and talk about these 5 tips for staying grounded in uncertain times. I've got my notes. You guys know I love to have my notes in front of me because I want to make sure I give you everything that you need tonight, and a transcript of this live. If you're watching me on YouTube, a transcript of this will be available after the recording. So if you want to have the notes about what we're talking about, it'll be in the transcript. So don't worry about having to scribble down everything that I'm saying. All right, tip number 1, sensory eating. Sensory eating. I don't know if you've ever heard of sensory eating, but sensory eating is important for activating something called your parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system. And the way you can remember parasympathetic nervous system is just to kind of think of it as a parachute. Parasympathetic nervous system. It's the opposite of the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, fright, the one that gets us in action, the one that, tells us we've got to get going. There's a 5-alarm fire, or, there's an emergency, the one that's probably activated right now for you. The one that is activated throughout the day for you, probably when you're looking at the news and you're scrolling through your feeds and things like this. It's probably that you're experiencing all day. Parasympathetic is the opposite of that. That's your pause. That's your slow down. That's your slower breathing. That's your calmer breathing. Okay. What is sensory eating? Well, when your stress is high, your body shifts into fight or flight, like I was saying. Slowing down and engaging your senses when you're eating is so important for activating your parasympathetic nervous system, okay? Which tells your brain that you are safe. Okay, so I don't know if any of you, tend to watch TV while you're eating, or if you've got your cell phone while you're eating at your table. Here's one thing I want to invite you to do is to take a 5 sense pause. 5 senses pause while you're eating. Okay, notice the texture, the aroma, the colors. Listen to the sound of your food. Listen to the crunch if you've got something crunchy. Okay, and truly learn to savor each bite. What we're talking about here is engaging your 5 senses while you're eating. It's sensory nutrition or sensory eating. It means turning these cell phones off. It means not listening to the radio or the TV while you're eating, but really engaging with your meal. Little known fact, it will absolutely engage your parasympathetic nervous system. If you're paying attention to the taste, the texture, the aroma, the scent of your food, the sound, okay, that's a wonderful way to engage your parasympathetic nervous system while you are eating. Okay? When you do this, you're automatically, like I said, engaging that parasympathetic nervous system, but you're also going to do something really important. You're going to lower that cortisol. Cortisol is related to, it's a hormone related to that fight or flight, fright, okay? You're going to be able to lower that cortisol and you're actually going to be able to help self-regulate your own mood. Okay, so it helps with mood regulation. And I really think that's something many of us need these days, emotional regulation. I'll be the first one to admit, I too have to practice emotional regulation skills. People always talk about emotional intelligence. What good is being intelligent about something if you can't regulate it? So, knowing what your emotions are is only one half of the equation. The other half is being able to properly regulate your emotions, to know when it's time to take a step back, to know when it's time to zip the lip, to know when someone's not saying something to be offensive. You don't have to get offended, right? So regulating our emotions is really important work. And we can do that with this first tip. Okay, so the 5 sense pause or sensory eating is all about taking all the other things out of your environment while you're eating and sitting down to be intentional. What you could even do is put, if you sit and eat at the table, you can put some flowers on your table. That's another great visual while you're eating. I tend to use candle warmers in my home, so I like to put a candle warmer on, get that scent going, so that when I go to sit down and eat, there's a nice scent, and that helps to regulate. That helps me to calm down and really relax before I start eating my meal. So that's another sense that you can engage before you're eating and while you're eating. That is alternative to watching the news and hearing all the things that are going on all around the world. Okay? Number 2, balance your neurotransmitters with mood food. I have to say something that's so important. I want you to really hone in on this. Stress depletes, absolutely depletes serotonin and dopamine, two of the most important brain neurotransmitters. I know you've heard of serotonin as it relates to feeling calm and relaxed and not anxious and all that other stuff. But serotonin is also crucial for learning and for memory and for, information retrieval, dopamine as well. Those two neurotransmitters are so important for calming the chaos. And here's the example I want to give you. When your mind is all over the place, when there's chaos, when you can't think clearly, you also can't plan. You can't strategize. In the world that we live in now, you need a mind that can think clearly, that can strategize, a mind that helps you to plan and say, okay, these are the things I need to accomplish today. These are the priorities I need to put in place for this week. Here are some of the things I need to get done, security things I need to do, applications for such and such, my finances that I need to, you need your brain to not be in that foggy place, especially when we are already in chaotic um, environments. Okay. You need to prioritize clarity of mind, top of the list, 100%. And when those neurotransmitters are depleted, serotonin and dopamine specifically, you're asking for brain fog, you're asking for short-term memory, and information retrieval issues, attention issues, being able to pay attention, not feeling yanked all over the place, forgetting the things that you need to remember and remembering the things that you need to forget. Okay, so really want to make sure that you're prioritizing um, good mood food. Okay, my favorite things to recommend for my mental health clients, for my patients, for my coaching, for everyone is the Mediterranean diet. Now, I know what you're going to say. Everyone can't eat the Mediterranean diet, tomatoes and nightshades, and that is absolutely true. But one of the things that I say to that is first and foremost, know what your food sensitivities are. If you don't have sensitivities to those things, think about incorporating what we know all over the world. The mind diet works. What does that prioritize? It prioritizes antioxidants. It prioritizes polyphenols. Okay, it prioritizes omega 3 and omega 6 rich foods. Okay, like sardines, fermented foods, Greek yogurt, olives, um, all red wine. Okay, I know that we've had some conversations about alcohol and things like this, but I'm a fierce lover of the wines. I mean, it's going to take a lot for me to not endorse the health benefits of red and white wines. I mean, just the antioxidants, polyphenols, resveratrol. I mean, it's going to take a lot for me to say that I am not a big fan of the wines as it pertains to good health in general. And I'm not saying that for everybody. I'm not saying rush out and get wine this very second. It all depends on who you are and your own health concerns and things like this. But in general, that happens to be one of my recommendations for my patients is to really, really think about antioxidant rich foods, resveratrol, the polyphenols, the omega 3, omega 6 rich foods, fermented foods, like I said, with Greek yogurt. Olives are packed with polyphenols. I don't know if you knew this, but they are packed with polyphenols. So you want to add that into your meal plan as well. Okay. Um, you want to get some proteins. Okay. I noticed that people are not including the proteins as much as they should be. You really want to pair proteins with a complex carb, something like a hummus and whole grain pita. And protein's where you're going to get your energy. Your brain needs protein. Your brain, all these neurotransmitters that I was talking about, your brain needs those proteins. Okay, proteins are the building blocks of a lot of things in the body. You want to prioritize the proteins and the complex carbs. And while I'm there, I want to say this. Here's why this is also important. It helps to stabilize your blood sugar. When your blood sugar is unstable, when you've got blood sugar spikes going up and down and you're skipping meals and all these other things, that can contribute to that brain fog, that hangriness, hungry and angry at the same time. It just wreaks havoc on your mood, your emotions. And again, remember, we're talking about calming the chaos. This internal chaos that comes as a result of you skipping meals is not helpful to the outer chaos in the world. All right. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. If you're skipping meals nowadays, you're asking for trouble. Okay, if you're skipping out on proteins and you're not prioritizing proteins and the complex carbs, you are asking for trouble. You're asking for brain fog. You're asking for forgetfulness. You're asking for difficulty focusing. Okay, you're asking for when you're scrolling through your phone and you're seeing all these things, you're literally asking for a panic button over and over and over in your brain. Okay, you got to start with the nutrition, folks. You got to start with the nutrition. I'm all for the yoga, the Tai Chi, the breathing, and all this other stuff, but what's going on your plate matters. Food is medicine, it matters. Okay, so you got to eat. I call it building a better brain. You got to eat for your brain these days. You got to prioritize these things that are helping you to build a better brain so that you can be more proactive and less reactive. And skipping meals and skipping out on proteins is an absolute no no. Ladies and gentlemen who are in your 40s and your 50s, I am 100% talking to you because the bills are coming due. The bills are coming due at this stage in your life, your mid 40s, your 50s, and your 60s. Boy, these bills come due and they come due hard. You really want to drill down into this, especially if you're perimenopausal, menopausal. I mean, it's literally like pouring gasoline on a fire. So this is the way to mitigate what's already happening in your own world. Your own chaos that may be erupting as a result of perimenopause and menopause, and then the outer world where all the other stuff is trickling in as well. Okay, so I was saying balance your neurotransmitters with Mediterranean mood food. I'm a big lover of the Mediterranean diet, and in general, just protein rich foods. Okay. Number three, wine or herbal tea as a ritual to anchor the moment. Let me tell you something. What did I start off with? I started off with my tea. Tea is just a wonderful way to anchor yourself in the present moment. When I had my first and second retreat, 2023, September 2023 and September 2024. Two things we talked about was restoring ritual in our everyday lives. Now, what do I mean by ritual? Ritual is just a practice, something you do every day, something that helps you anchor in the present moment. I have a transition ritual that I engage every day. What does that mean? When I come home, before I transition from how I transition from work to home is through tea. I turn on my teapot, I make a nice cup of tea, I sit down and I anchor myself in the present moment. I also take a shower before I start making my dinner. It's like I just want to wash off the energy of the day, all the bad news, all of the goings on at work, the things that are going on with this person, that person, and all of that stuff. I just want to wash it all away. And I want to anchor myself in the present moment with tea. Tea is a wonderful ritual, especially if we're talking about um, green tea. Green tea is wonderful for brain health. Okay, so you want to prioritize a nice, good, healthy green tea. I've got a lot of recommendations. I'm not going to list them now. You can always get in the newsletter, get on my mailing list because I'm always talking about different herbs and teas and things like this that I think are high quality for you. Um, you just want to get yourself anchored in the present moment. There's nothing better than a good warm cup of green tea or herbal tea. I love the adaptogen teas. So, holy basil, I grow holy basil all summer long. So, I have a whole stock of holy basil tea. Tulsi, they call it, that I freeze and that I also dry and store. So, holy basil is one of my favorites. Can never go wrong with holy basil as far as I'm concerned. Lemon balm is a wonderful tea. Lemongrass. You could get lemon balm as a tea, lemongrass as a tea. The list goes on and on of the teas. Oh, there's another one that I really love. The name of it escapes me right now. It'll come back to me. Rose hips tea. I mean, there just is so many different teas. A ritual just to anchor yourself in the present moment. Okay. Um, I want to talk about a grounding sip ritual. Okay, this is another little practice that engages the senses, and this is something you can do very easily. Grounding sip ritual is something that I learned a long time ago, well, in Mexico, as a matter of fact, on one of my earlier trips before the retreat. And I think I even spoke about this at the retreat, was a grounding sip ritual is really, really simple. It's what I was talking about in the beginning. You sip your tea and you engage your senses. So you're, you know, breathing in the aroma, you're closing your eyes, taking a nice, slow sip, and grounding yourself in the present moment. And you know how that feels. If you're a tea lover, you know how that feels when you just engage your senses when you smell the herb, especially if the lemon teas and the lemongrass and all the herbal teas. The scent is just absolutely delightful. Nothing will calm you down like a good cup of herbal tea. And it really rewires your brain. That was a little note I said for myself. It helps to rewire your brain from that fear and that reactivity to just the present moment, calms our that overactive nervous system of ours, that reactive nervous system, and brings us into the present moment. So the grounding sip ritual is something that I absolutely love. I could tell you, I get my Be Good to Yourself mug, which, by the way, if you want one of these, let me know. I'll drop the link in the comments. Um, you can get on that link and get yourself one. But Be Good to Yourself is just a visual way for me to remind myself to be good to myself, through this cup of tea, this grounding ritual. And then, you can extend on that a little bit and just say a couple of affirmations for yourself. You can say a couple of gratitude affirmations. I am so grateful for this delicious cup of tea. I am so grateful for this practice. I am so grateful that I got home safely. I am so grateful that my children are well. I'm so grateful that my husband is well. I'm so grateful. Whatever it is that you want, the more you're saying that, the more you're activating that parasympathetic nervous system response. So this is a wonderful ritual for transitioning from the busyness and chaos of the day to your evening. Okay. And, try it out. Just keep saying the things that you're grateful for. That's an easy one. Sometimes people struggle with coming up with affirmations, but gratitude as a practice, you can just go on with the things that you are grateful for. I'm grateful for this chair. I'm grateful for this house. I'm grateful that I have people who are tuned in to listen to what I'm offering, this sacred medicine that I'm offering to you this evening. I mean, I could go on for hours about the things that I'm grateful for. And the longer that list gets, the more the calmer I feel. Okay. So that's tip number 3. Number 4, those of you who know that I'm going to Greece in October for my food and wine tour, I put this in here about slow eating, slow communal nature based eating. One of the reasons I chose Greece for my first food and wine tour, is because I absolutely love Greece. I mean, it's just one of these places on the planet, in addition to Mexico, that I absolutely love. I love the culture of eating in community. I love the idea of eating outdoors when we can eat outdoors. I love slow, intentional eating. Okay, so that's another thing here in the West that we really, really, we got a long way to go, but we can work on it, folks. We can work on it. Down, slow down, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this my food and wine tour in Greece and the Greek islands, because I really, you travel with me, I really am so excited about giving you the opportunity to experience what it feels like to slow down and enjoy a well cooked meal that you yourself are learning how to cook. I mean, we're going to do the wine tour, we're doing the Olive Museum tour, we have cooking classes, authentic Greek cooking classes. I mean, you talk about fun. In this time right now, I want to take just a quick second to say this. Someone said to me, and I'll never forget it, you know, the only thing better than hope is a plan. I'm hoping that the chaos and calamity that we are experiencing now, I'm hoping it gets better. I really, really am hoping that it gets better. But if it doesn't, I'm planning to keep myself well enough to get through it. The only thing better than hope is a plan. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm planning for what I want to feel if it doesn't. And, we got a long road ahead of us. We've got a long road ahead of us. We cannot be tired, wired, and uninspired for the next number of years. We just can't. We can't be depleted. We can't have our nervous system all over the place. That's not going to work for the long haul. It's not even going to work for the short haul. So I hope that you have a plan to help you just get some of these things ingrained in you. I hope that you've got a plan for connecting yourself to nature, a plan for, food, mood, and mental health for yourself. Um, Enjoying meals to lower your cortisol level, improve your digestion. All of this slowing down helps improve your digestion. It helps lower your cholesterol. Hey, I did a video, I think it was last week when I did the video on antioxidants and oxidative stress. Go back to my YouTube channel and learn what oxidative stress is. It's invisible. It's not something you're gonna have a little meter on your watch and say, oh, look at that, I've got oxidative stress today. It doesn't work that way. It is truly the silent killer, in my opinion. It is the well, factually, it is the silent killer. We're talking about high blood pressure. We're talking about diabetes. We're talking about inflammation in the body everywhere through as a result of oxidative stress. Okay, that's what we're talking about when we talk about oxidative stress. So these days, you've got to have practices in place for mitigating the damage that comes as a result of oxidative stress, and lowering this cortisol and reducing this inflammation in the body. Okay, inflammation anywhere is inflammation everywhere. Okay, so when we're talking about brain health, we're talking about heart health, we're talking about kidney health, liver health, all of these things are dependent upon reducing our oxidative stress load. Okay, um, and there's nothing better than being in environments that teach us how to slow down, how to eat mindfully, how to chew our foods slowly, how to improve our digestion. Okay, nothing better than that. I hope that if you've not seen the details of that Greece tour coming up in October 2025, I'm going to drop the link. It's going to be in the show notes here on YouTube if you're watching me on YouTube. And those of you who are watching me on Insta, I'm going to drop the link there. Seriously, you want to get going with your planning for how you're going to survive, how you're going to thrive in all of this chaos. Okay, let's get to tip number 5. Harness the power. And I promised you I was going to share this one spice. This is one good spice you want to make sure you add to your spice rack this year. Saffron. Saffron is a natural mood booster. It's a golden spice used in the Mediterranean cuisine and has been shown in clinical studies. You want the clinical study, I'll share it with you. Shown in clinical studies to be as effective as some prescription antidepressants for boosting serotonin and reducing anxiety. I find that fascinating. I find that absolutely fascinating. Like, I just get chills when I talk about the herbs and the spices. Saffron, here again, for those of you who are going to go with me to Greece, you'll experience this in our cooking classes. Saffron is one of these wonderful, wonderful spices. Wonderful spices. It just is so good for our health, but we're specifically talking about mental health, food, mood, and mental health tonight. It's one of those things you really want to add to your spice rack. Like I said, clinical studies suggest that it can be as effective in reducing the sadness, the sadness, the anxiety, the nervousness, all these kinds of things. You want to look that up. You can reach out to me. I'll give you some clinical studies that you can have a look at and learn a little bit more about saffron. Add a pinch of saffron to warm water, herbal tea, or even a Greek inspired dish like lentils or rice. Here's the other thing, saffron actually, I was just thinking about this also in the studies, shows some evidence of being able to help with sleep, um, and supporting brain health naturally. So I want to say this: if you're a person who's having trouble sleeping, I mean, listen. Last night I just was like, oh my God, I can't get to sleep. My mind was all over the place. Um, if you're a person who's struggling with getting falling asleep and staying asleep, there are some wonderful, wonderful recipes for that. And starting with your food, not only what you're eating, but when you're eating. Okay, not only what you're eating, but when you're eating. And that's what I talk about a lot in the newsletter, Healthy House Calls with Angel, that Wednesday edition. I speak a lot about what you're eating, when you're eating, circadian rhythms. This whole thing of eating at 10 o'clock at night and putting your body into digestion mode and then trying to go to bed, it's not going to work, folks. It's not going to work. Going to be, gasoline on the fire, okay? Not going to work. So you want to get some regulation with not only what you're eating, but when you're eating. Okay, you want to understand the release of those hunger hormones and then those, not hunger hormones. You want to understand how those work overnight. You want to understand that sleep helps regulate the release of those hormones. Okay, so if you're not prioritizing your sleep, if you're not eating foods that help you build those brain neurotransmitters that help you rest and get ready for sleep and help get your circadian rhythm straightened out so that cortisol goes off and melatonin kicks in, because there's an inverse relationship of those two. Let's get busy. We got some work to do. Okay, we got some serious work to do. And the good news is it can all happen on your plate. Everything that I'm telling you about is you know food medicine. You're already eating food to begin with. This is not adding, anything to the equation. We're just talking about being mindful now. We're talking about mindful nutrition, being aware of the science of food and how you can use food to improve your mood, your mental health, your well-being, to help calm some of this internal chaos. Because let me just say this. How do you feel when you eat something that's sugary? How do you feel when you drink, a tall caffeine, right? That's proof right there that what you eat and drink matters. Conversely, how do you feel when you drink, more water? I'll say for me, when I'm dehydrated, because it's like, oh my God, this brain fog is like, where am I? What planet am I on? If I go and get my canteen and get in one of two of these, I'm good to go, right? So what you eat, when you eat, what you drink matters, okay? Um, so that's what this is all about. It's using the power of food to really help calm the chaos in uncertain times. All right. There's a whole lot to the neurotransmitter thing. If you're in Maryland and this fascinates you and you want to say, gosh, I would love to know what my neurotransmitters look like, we can test for that to figure out where you might be depleted. We can also test for nutritional deficiencies, your omega-3 index. What's that look like? What's your amino acid profile look like? What's your macronutrients look like? What do your micronutrients look like? If you're not getting macro and micronutrient testing, you're missing out on some really important medicine. All right, so reach out to me and let me know if that's something that interests you. Test, don't guess. This is not an advertisement for you to run out and go get on all the supplements. This is about you being mindful and knowing that your greatest medicine starts with what's on your plate. Okay? So, those are my 5 tips that I've given you. The last thing I want to say is this: imagine yourself in the Greek islands, sipping the most delicious red wine, tasting the most delicious feta cheese, in the company of other people who want to learn how to cook simple meals, simple, healthy meals. The best thing about Greek cuisine is it's simple. Let me tell you, it is painfully simple to put a couple of fresh, ingredients together and make really delicious meals, to make your own dressings. Okay, not, and this is important because nowadays look at the prices of food. Dressing, a good dressing could easily be $4 or $5. You can make your own dressings. You can grow your own kitchen herbs, all right, and make really good brain healthy um, dressings for your salads, for your marinades and things like this. You're going to learn all of that on my food and wine tour. I am so excited. And just imagine yourself with your stress melting away, you're feeling more energized, and just the companionship of other people who, like minded folks, who really do want to live longer and live better, with lifestyle medicine. I mean, this is the invitation for you to do that. So, I'm going to talk more about that food and wine tour next Wednesday evening. Next Wednesday evening is going to be just an information call, I guess, for you to learn a little bit more. I'm going to show you some slides and stuff like that. Show you some pictures of me when last time I was in Greece. Had a wonderful time. And if you want to get in on that info call, just let me know. I'm going to drop the link in the comments. Going to have a couple of links in my comments and in my show notes here on YouTube. So just click on that link and just register for it. It's free, just information night. We're not going to talk too long, but I'm just going to go a little bit more in depth with you and share some pictures with you, let you know how it's structured, who our tour guides are, who our teachers are on the for the cooking classes, the museum, who's going to be taking us there, the sailing to Naxos, a beautiful sailing in the Greek islands. I mean, come on, what's better than that? Especially in chaotic times. Especially in chaotic times. You want to be on that information call because we're getting ticketed. We're already getting ticketed and we're getting placement in our hotels. And like everything else, early birds get the best rooms, get the best, ticketing assignments and all of that kind of stuff. So you really want to lock in. If you're interested in this and you're really serious and you got a friend and you say, hey, I really want to do this, get on that information call with me next Wednesday evening. It's going to be 7 p.m. It's not going to be live here on Instagram. It's a private information call and you can ask me any questions you want about the food and wine tour. And I am going to be giving you a list of all of my favorite Greek wines. This is one of them. That's another one of them. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite Greek wines. So if you sign up for that information session, I will share that with you just for you coming and spending the evening with me. All right. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I'm going to look and see really quickly if there are any questions about anything that I shared. Are you concerned with eggs or chicken with the risk of bird flu? Ooh, the soulful question. I am absolutely concerned with eggs and chicken and the risk of bird flu. And I am recommending to my patients right now, thank you for that question. I am recommending avoidance. Let's just be mindful. Eggs and chicken, there's plenty of other things that we can eat. We don't have to increase our risk. The problem with where we are now, which is very, very unfortunate. I've been a clinician for 32 years. This is my 33rd year. I've never not had access to CDC data in real time to know where outbreaks are occurring, what hospitalization rates are. I'm an old ICU nurse here. So without that data, it's really hard to track where these outbreaks are and things. So, it's rough for us those of us who are in clinical practice, but we're using our wisdom and our guidance, and we're suggesting other meal plans for our patients and clients, and just trying to be really, really keen to helping individuals identify what signs and symptoms of illness may look like, how to take good food health preventive measures. A lot of us, that's another thing we talk a lot about in my nutrition classes is preventive, measures, cleanliness, how to clean produce properly, how to clean meats properly, how to store when things need to be discarded, when things need to be, shelf life of things, how to set up your kitchen for success, with cooking and all, meal prep and whatnot. uh, we do a lot in that in my nutrition classes. So that's a wonderful question, and I'm so grateful to you for asking me that. So right now, the wisdom that I'm applying is to really kind of avoid the egg products as best we can, and minimize the uh, the chicken. And I know someone who eats duck eggs. May sound funny, but there are people who do. And for that person, I also had said I think you probably want to avoid that for a while. So, but that's a wonderful question. Do you do one-to-one consultations? I absolutely do. SaveAHealthGroup.com. You can click on the website there and just go over to the link that says coaching and just get on my Calendly, and you can get on a complimentary call with me to talk about what specifically you'd like to work on this year with your health goals. So, yeah, so I absolutely do one-to-one consultations, and I am. Uh, Getting started with new clients. I've had some who have graduated, and I now only have to check in with them every 3 months because they've graduated and they're doing really well. So I've got some space in my calendar for some new clients. But thank you so much. Thank you for this information, Angel. You are so welcome. I'm so fortunate to have you here with me tonight. And Miss Wallace, Renette, I think this is. Hi, Renette. You said, please put the link for the teacup. Yes, I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Be good to yourself. Absolutely. I will do that. So I don't think I see any other questions. If there's anything else that pops up, listen, I love questions. I love them so much. It helps me grow as a clinician. I'm always looking to learn. I learn from you, you learn from me. We share, we build the beloved community. That's how we build the beloved community. No one owns knowledge, no one owns this information. And we build a better brain and a better community by sharing and learning from one another. So, if there's anything that I've said tonight that resonates with you, that you want more information about, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If there's some new knowledge that you want me to have, and you say, Angel, I heard you mention this, this is what I learned, please do share it with me. I'm never offended. I am learning just as much as you are. And that's what's carried me through 30, almost 33 years of successful practice. I'm very proud of that because I take on a posture of always wanting to learn. I can learn from anyone, and I believe that you can too. So that's what I have to share for this evening. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please incorporate some of those mindful nutrition skills that are very easy to do. Get your rituals in place. Have yourself a good transition tea. Start activating some of these senses. Get off of these things, please. Please, please, please. Listen, you all are some smart people, okay? Because I only interact with smart people, right? Okay, you're smart. You're already informed. You know everything you need to know, and by 8 o'clock at night, you definitely know everything you need to know. So you can go ahead and turn that off, and you can turn this on, and you can engage your senses and get that parasympathetic nervous system going, so that you can rest and relax, and you can calm this overactive nervous system down, and you can wake up tomorrow with the clarity and the courage and the confidence you need to really thrive. Not just survive, but to thrive. Okay? Because that's what I want for you. That's what I want for myself. All right? So that's all I have. Be well, be good to yourself. Never, ever, 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 ever be afraid to be amazing. Take good care. I'll see you next time. Get signed up for that newsletter, because all of this and so much more is in there every single week. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll drop those links very quickly so that you can activate all of those resources. Okay? Bye bye, everyone.